So one of the things that we often talk about is what students bring into our classroom. And to understand that is really a bit complex here at Tucson High. And the reason for that is we have students who, more than 50% of the students that you have in your classroom have to apply to get into the school. That application is a pretty simple one in the sense that it's a lottery. They get into this school based on a lottery system. And so more than 50% of your students are doing that. Now, having said that, to give you some perspective, when you look at school community services, which accept these applications at the district level, all the applications, if you were to add up every application that they receive, the amount of applications that they receive for a Tucson High magnet school are far more exceeding the accumulation of every other school put together. So every elementary school, every middle school, every K-8, every high school that students are trying to get into adds up to less than the amount of applications that they receive for Tucson High magnet school. So that really gives you some perspective of how many people we're actually saying no to. We have 3,100 students right now. More than half is magnet. Now, going on the flip side of that, less than 50%, about 47% of our students are neighborhood students. So that means they are fortunate enough to have an address that they can put on the registration and they can just attend. They don't have to go through an application process. They just get to come in. But if you look at historically where we are right now in the country, everyone knows that you can apply for other schools. They have so many other choices now. There's so many charter schools that they can go to, parochial schools that they can use their tax credit money for. There are far more options, but they choose their neighborhood school, which is very rare in this day and age. Most people send their kids to other schools, not the school across the street. So just a little perspective. Now, looking at the students that are physically in your classroom, the statement behind me, the quotes that I have behind me, are really looking at what they're bringing to the table. These are kids who have experience in fine arts, whether it's performance or visual arts. These are students who are very interested in science and STEM areas. So they are bringing improved cognition, higher test scores, incredible abilities to decipher things. Their writing skills are enhanced based on their experience in these classes, whether it be in the past or currently right now what they're experiencing here on campus. So this is quite a bit. And so what we want to do today is recognize what you're already doing in the classroom and really putting a name to it and really putting a practice to it. So when you look at the posters that are in front of you, these practices are things that you're doing already. But a lot of times teachers forget that that's actually an art strategy, that is something that is used in science. So we want you to look at them, identify them, and then be able to enhance that in the classroom. So this next portion, what we're going to have you do is we're going to have you partner up, and you're welcome to be in partners of, triads, dyads, totally up to you based on what spacing you have around you. And what I want you to do is look at both posters, pick one from each poster that you are already currently doing in your classroom, share that with your group, and then look at the posters and think of which ones you're not using, and maybe something that you don't feel would be a big stretch for you to include in your curriculum. So we'll have about anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to work on this, depending on the activity. I'll gauge that in about 5 minutes.
but it's not just the same.
And honestly, if the four of you want to say
Like, they were supposed to use 3 different forms.
Literature, artistic works, and we're all about this.
I want to take this time to introduce or have someone introduce themselves, just so you all can put a face. Most of you have been here for a while. I actually don't think I've seen any, maybe just one new.
Just Karina.
But I'm going to go ahead and have Andrea introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Andrea Valenzuela. I am the magnet counselor at Tucson High School. I've been here for 9 years. I've held different positions here, and now with this magnet program, which I'm super excited about. And yeah, I work with all the magnet students, well, the classes, making sure that they're leveled out and making sure they're in the right places. And I just try to do my best to make sure that we meet the needs of those students that come from far and wide to get the best experience they can here at Tucson High. I know Ms. Hall has mentioned this in the past. If you have something great going on in your classroom, please feel free to invite me. I get excited just going to see classes and visiting with students. And so just keep in touch with me. Let me know how I can help you out. All right. Nice meeting you all.
Now she's being really humble about her beginnings here, but she really has quite a bit of experience and really knows quite a bit about Tucson High. So please don't hesitate to email her. And to piggyback on what you said about the classroom, we highlight what you do in the classroom and what your students do in the classroom through through Facebook, our Facebook page, and also through the newsletter that we send to prospective families and to current families. So please never hesitate to brag about what you're doing or what your students are doing in the classroom. It's really nice to hear from you and be able to highlight that for you. We can also bring in Ms. Huff. So Ms. Huff can take pictures and actually put a display case window out for you. So she'd be happy to go in as well. So please utilize us for that so we can highlight that.
The other thing is too, we go to visits all the time in middle schools and we go to recruiting events all the time. So we like bragging about all classes, not just the fine arts and the science classes, but we like to brag about all the classes. So we really want to know what's happening in our classes. So please feel free to invite us in. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye. And with that, what I'd like to do is have each group share a little bit about what they discussed, maybe something they discovered about their colleagues, something that they're willing to bring in. You are welcome to take these questions in any direction you like. So if you don't mind, if you can start over here.
English colleagues do use things for the comments.
And I'm also in English. There's quite a bit of the natural sciences, in fact, especially right now, we're teaching and learning. So but we're also doing research too.
So a little bit of surprises.
We noticed that all of us use a lot of these. I like what Jolene said when she said this is all just problem solving, fine arts and natural sciences, both of these. And that was kind of the theme of our discussion.
English and social studies. So in looking at it, I mentioned that I see a lot of the fine arts being used in my class most of the time because it's analyzing texts and writing about the texts. And then Hillary mentioned using a lot of the data and mathematical computational thinking and investigations in human geography. And so the natural sciences part really comes up easily with that, with Socratic seminars and doing their analytical thinking there.
I think like our group really discussed how we give options to our students. Like whenever I have an assignment that could be completed artistically, I give them that option as long as they fulfill the requirements. I think the students enjoy that, and I also enjoy seeing like how creative our students can really be. I I think you had a really good example of the how ASL sometimes can show analyzing, interpreting, and selecting artistic work for presentation, and just like how different people present the language of ASL, right?
Yeah, we were thinking also like not getting so stuck on the words and kind of thinking like outside the box because like if you say like thinking of someone's like artistic work doesn't always mean like drawing, painting, like just thinking outside the box. Like we had mentioned like ASL is very expressive and that can tie into a lot of the fine art stuff. It doesn't have to be something drawn or painted. It could be something expressive that you can also point out as part of your practice.
Which is interesting because oftentimes in fine arts, the visual arts tends to be not as accentuated, but it is one of the areas that teachers use the most in classrooms. But you're absolutely right. Performance art and visual 3D art, all of those things can be incorporated quite a bit. And science, surprisingly, some of the natural science magna practices are such a huge part of math, of social studies, of English, and they are pretty easy. These are teaching practices. These are based, they're not invented to be something completely different. They're based on standards that you're already using in the classroom, which is what I brought up at the beginning. The main part about this is to really think critically about the students that you have in your classroom and how you can really make them connect to your subject matter. They might be here because of band or because of film and TV. They may be here because of a particular class that really connects with them. For us, it's our job to make them also connect to other subject matters. And these are ways to do that. Just another tool for us to be able to do that. And it's another connection to the IFC and not trying to make things difficult. It is a document that's trying to be comprehensive, to really just bring in what we are all doing to help with student achievement and help with those connections in the classroom. So having said that, the posters in front of you are not to keep, but if you do not have any in your classroom, please email me. Don't hesitate to email me and I will get you copies. I just needed to keep these for today and I can get you extra copies. What you can take today is I have the congratulations posters that are behind me on the chair. And I know it seems a little silly to have a poster that talks about our accolades and the awards that we received, but I'm going to go back to what I spoke about when it has to do with our being a school that is not just a magnet school. We're a magnet program within a school. And for us to be compared to all those other schools and still gain these awards based on what you all do, it really means a lot. And so referencing this in your classroom and having students know about this and having that language in your classroom celebrates it and starts to bring us not just into magnet theme integration, but innovation, which is the next step in which we want to do. So please make sure to pick one up if you don't have one. And otherwise, please enjoy the rest of your day. I really appreciate all of you being a part of today. Thank you.